Roe V Wade, was overturned recently, which is a huge blow to reproductive rights for women, men, and the LGBT community. The Supreme Court's ruling will reduce access to abortion, although this is only one piece of the puzzle. Much of the discussion focuses on a woman's right to choose, but healthcare needs to be in these conversations. With Roe overturned, everyone suffers in terms of access to education, contraceptives, STD testing, screening for cervical and testicular cancer, resources related to sexual abuse, aid in getting HRT. So today, I want to break down how Roe v. Wade protections impact our health and what we can do to get these rights back. Roe v. Wade was a historic piece of legislation. Granting people access to reproductive autonomy was a huge landmark in human rights. When something is constitutionally protected, it overrides states' rights generally speaking. As society embraced the step forward federally, social sentiment began to change as well. Since Roe v. Wade was constitutionally enshrined, many abortion clinics opened as a result. A vast majority of the provided services have to do with healthcare. The overwhelming resource distributed is contraceptives. Having free access to condoms in the pill shows a demonstrable reduction in unwanted pregnancies. Fewer pregnancies means fewer abortions. While buying some form of birth control might not sound like much, some people are on tight budgets. With inflation on the rise, many face structural barriers that reduce their finances. Not to mention, getting protection can be arduous depending on where you live. Traveling 20 or 30 minutes because the local Planned Parenthood shut down is an added hurdle that can be easily avoided. Contraceptives are one of many services. How about access to rape kits or medical intervention? Many abortion clinics connect victims of assault to vital resources. They offer parameters to gauge if you've been sexually assaulted. They administer tests for STDs and STIs. Before Roe was overturned, many without insurance only had abortion clinics to rely on. Arguably, their biggest impact is in terms of education. In many parts of the US, sex ed is severely lacking. Many schools teach abstinence only. Some campuses infuse religiosity into their practices. These students start on the back foot when it comes to informed decisions about their bodies. Couple this with the fact that many clinics are now closed and an uneven environment spawns. Someone who has comprehensive education and access to preventative measures doesn't have these issues. So the benefits to women are massive. But what about the other half of the population? Abortion clinics got you covered too, my dudes. Men have so many options in terms of healthcare at these facilities. Access to checkups on physical health, vasectomies, and infertility screenings to name a few. Plus, saving money on condoms is always nice. Even LGBT members rely heavily on Planned Parenthood. They help trans people connect with those who can get them HRT and gender-affirming care. These institutions are vital to so many communities throughout the United States. If our ultimate goal is to save lives, the way to end abortion is to offer comprehensive education and access to healthcare. Adoption centers already have too many children to keep track of. Investing in contraceptives now costs less in the long run and provides so many positive externalities. Higher college attendance rates, fewer unwanted pregnancies, and a reduction in maternal deaths. Education and access are a win for everyone. Many of us feel demotivated after hearing this disheartening news, but it's important to make use of the options we have at our disposal. So here are a few things we can do to empower ourselves. For starters, voting in every election is crucial. People love to talk about the general elections, but grassroots movements are vital in securing power. Everything works from the ground up. Local policies often inform state policies, which can influence other states, eventually reaching a national level. Social media is another powerful tool we have to make our voices heard. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and any other social media apps can spread awareness to these issues in a meaningful capacity. The amount of education we have access to is unparalleled. Informative memes and resources resonate in places we might not expect. Expressing our disdain for our political system can help mobilize young voters. Talking about the implications of abortion rights can inform those who might not have heard these arguments. Protesting is another power we have, but we must use this tool responsibly. Peaceful protests can educate and encourage. Violent protest divides and destroys our political process. Reaching out to Congress can have lasting impacts. A simple email or phone call reminds them they have to work for our vote. Similar to many Americans, I take the things I have for granted, but we have so many rights worth advocating for. Being able to vote is something that can enact meaningful change. We can all come together on certain ideas. Everyone wants to have access to healthcare in times of trouble. We all want the government to serve us, and not the other way around. Education can bring us together in such a transformative way. Highlighting the positives that Roe v. Wade protected is a universal idea that we can all agree on. Understanding the implications of our current political discourse is so important. Instead of fighting about whether or not a fetus is a person, let's stop unwanted pregnancies. Abortions are a difficult decision people don't take lightly. Women suffer a slew of mental health and physical consequences after abortion. Rather than cut access to necessary supplies and vital resources, let's focus on education and empowerment. If we invest in healthcare that results in fewer abortions, a more well-informed population, and we all end up saving a few bucks, isn't that a win for everyone? What are some solutions you can think of to help get Roe v. Wade back? What's the most important area to focus our attention on? I'd love to hear from you.